Hello and welcome everybody, this is the Prussian Prince with another Rome 2 video. It's going to be another video that's part of my multiplayer guide series. And it is Advanced Training Methods. So, what am I going to be teaching you in this specific video? Well, obviously Advanced Training Methods, right? Anyway, let's begin. So, one advanced training method you can use is simply going into custom battle and training against AI. Now, I don't mean like bringing a full army to face off against the opponent. I mean, let's say, no, I'm gonna go Seleucid, right? No, let's give the opponent Seleucid. And let's give him, let's say, I'm gonna give him 12 cataphracts, right? No, this is 11, whatever. Let's make it 10 cataphracts. Just be an even number. Now, I'm gonna go, let's say Seleucid as well, but I'm gonna pick around, let's say, 10 cataphracts and, no, make it, hang on, like this. I can't do it. Oh well. Let's do this then. Yeah, this is good enough. So I'm gonna bring 7 cataphracts and then like 5 Agema Cavalry. Now, the purpose of this specific battle is to use the flank with the Agema Cavalry. So you should keep your cataphracts engaging from the front while flanking around with the Agema Cavalry. Now let's see how it works. Now as you can see, opponent has 10 cataphracts, I've only 7, but I've got extra units I can flank around with. That's going to be targets. So I'm gonna look for, which one was the Meta Senate? This was it, right? Yeah. My favorite training anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna load this up, and if you can do a great job with this, then it's good. Like if you can micro everything around and flank the enemy. This is essentially cavalry micro training. Of course, this isn't the hardest type of training you can do, but you should do it. And what you want to do is you want to hit your tramples correctly, and you want to flank with the units that you need to flank with. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to order my units around differently. Probably gonna do this. Let's see how the AI does it. I hope he doesn't mess things up. Yeah, okay. He's not doing what I wanted him to do, but you can also do other things in this specific training. Like, you can pull back your units if you see your opponent is charging one of them. If you like, let's say with this unit he's charging this unit. I could pull this unit back here, and I could then flank it here with these 2 units more easily, right? But anyway, it's time to hit your tramples. I advise you to use hotkeys. Haven't gone into that yet, but soon I will. You can see that even I am not flanking around properly, and here gonna hit him from here. You can see that it's not going as well as it could be because I didn't flank around properly. Here I missed the trample, as you can see. Essentially that's the type of training you do, although I suppose I cheated a little bit as I used slightly more than he did. And as you can see, the AI doesn't use, actually it did use trample. It did use trample. Thought it wouldn't do it. Trampled here as well. But yeah, as you can see, getting the better engagements off over here. I've got a 2-on-1 here. That's what you want to try and do as much as possible. So yeah, this is training the speed and accuracy of your cavalry micro, using trample at the right time and flanking around in cavalry engagement. This is a very important aspect of the game, unless obviously you go super heavy infantry, not do anything else, but I don't advise you to do that. You should try and diversify your playstyle as much as possible, though you should keep a main playstyle. Get into that a little bit later. So now, as you can see, the game is pretty much over, but I'm just going to continue flanking around here to demonstrate more what I want you to do. And basically, yeah, the game is over, and you can see just how much more effective I was here than the opponent. You can see the Agema Cavalry actually got insanely effective. Well, some of it anyway, because they managed to flank around. So this is why flanking around is important, having fast micro. So, what else is there to test? Well, would be general engagements. However, that's not something that I can help you. I mean, it's not something that you can do on your own. You're gonna have to train with someone, because the AI obviously is not gonna be able to maintain good formations. Say for example you bring 1/3 of an army and that's how you engage. You can try something like that, like engaging properly with a mix of cavalry, missiles and swords, for example. You can try like a small scale battle. You can probably even change your funds to like small or maybe medium and try that, so that you don't get overwhelmed by having to micro too many units, and you can take your time babysitting a few units and just seeing how they work properly. Now, next thing I want to talk to you about is looking at the minimap. If you use a regular camera, this is going to be very important. However, if you use an unrestricted camera, which allows you to zoom out more than you're normally able to, looking at the minimap is not as useful as it is for people who use the regular camera. Now, why is that? Because with the regular camera, you can't zoom out too much, and you can't zoom out enough so that you can see your whole army. But you can do that with the unrestricted camera. That's why you don't really need to look at the minimap with unrestricted camera, and you do with the regular camera. Now, how do you train that? Well, you have a friend. He doesn't even need to be in the game, by the way, or anything like that. You can tell him every, say, 10 or 15 seconds to tell you to look at the minimap. So while you're playing, selecting units, microing, whatever, doing something in game, he's like, look at your minimap, look at your minimap, every 10 seconds or so. Now that's probably going to help you to develop, I suppose, reflexes for that. That's probably not the right word though. But anyway, you'll get used to looking at the minimap, so you'll do it subconsciously. I suppose that's the best way to put it. So you won't, after a while, you won't have to have someone tell you to do that. So that was the other thing I wanted to talk to you about. Now, the third one, which I guess it's pretty obvious, but obviously you still need to do it. You need to study maps. You need to study faction counters. And what does that mean? So essentially, for each map, you have to know what is good on that map against what. It's like, and by doing that, you have to obviously play against someone who uses the same faction, let's say 5 times in a row, and use one faction, right? So you keep playing and playing and playing until you see what works on that map. Now obviously you can try out different things, like let's say some are more obvious. Like on flat maps, skirmishers are better, right? That's an obvious thing. Now there are more interesting things. Like if you watch the first Scan Invitational tournament, Vulon versus Pointman, I believe it was game 1 or game 2. Pointman went Suebi, and essentially what Vulon did is he brought a cav heavy Parthia against him. And since there are some terrain restrictions on that map, Vulon was able to simply bash his whole army into Pointman downhill without Pointman noticing it until the engagement had already begun, and basically until the game was already over. So that's why you need to study maps. That's why you need to study what units do, and that's probably what you should do on your own. I might make a video on that too. But anyway, I don't think there's any other advanced training method that I can think of. Obviously, like, you can join a clan and practice with clan members like 5 times a day, and you can have some of them spectate and tell you what went wrong. But other than that, there's no other real advanced training methods, so to speak of, because the game hasn't really developed that much in order for us to know exactly what we need to do. But anyway, thank you guys and girls for watching. So if you enjoyed, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. Share the video, and see you next time.